Oh, it's your turn to do the intros.
I know. I'm already mentally preparing myself for it.
Okay.
It wasn't yesterday, it was 2 days ago.
I
And we've established, we know that you do the odd numbers.
On me where I feel like I'm
You do the odd. No, you do the odd numbers, I do the even numbers, and this is episode 120, so I know it's my turn. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode 120. Dave and I got in a bit of a riff there about who was doing the intro, but I was well aware it was me. If you look now on the YouTube video, I think it looks like I virtually punched him in the face because he was testing out and updating us on the microneedling. So tune in for that. I also wanted to give a bit of an update as to what it is that I've actually been doing and what's going on within my business and what the sort of plans are for future WeHackHealth around events, building out a team, additional resources for everybody in terms of being in the Discord, webinars to sort of introduce the team and what they do and their expertise. And that was pretty much it. We went through all of that to give you the update because I feel like I've been working in the background and not really telling people what's going on. So tune in for that. Let me know your thoughts and I'll catch you next week. You know that there has had to have been some sacrifice, whether it's time or nutrition or whatever it is.
Recording myself talking about having a relationship with my chest.
I'm Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Hacking Health Podcast. Yo, welcome back. I feel like we're on back-to-back episodes now in terms of recording. It's only like 2 days after the last time we recorded. I think we recorded the day before Thanksgiving, and it's now the day after.
We did, yeah, and I just had Thanksgiving, so it's the Friday. After
and you got into a fight by the looks of things?
I did get into a fight. If you notice here, I have a lot of swelling on my left cheek here, and what I wanted to do was have an example of microneedling prior to this next podcast, and since we're doing it back to back, I was going to do it normally on Sunday, but I decided to do it literally like 10 minutes before the podcast itself. So if you notice,
that's why when you said I'm going to be 2 minutes late, that's what you were doing.
I was literally needling my face and my scalp. So
so anybody who's listening after I said looks like you've been in a fight has immediately stopped and logged into YouTube. So welcome to the YouTube.
I had this big red blotch. Well, so interesting enough, I got this I was speaking at a gig in Vegas for E&Y, and I got this weird boil the day of my speaking engagement, which is great, so it's like a little red blotch, and it kind of puffed up and it never went away. So it just left this red blotch on the side of my cheek. So I always have this red scar essentially. It happened maybe 2 years ago and it's never gone away. So I'm trying microneedling with hydrochloric acid. That's how you say it. But it's supposed to help repair the skin in that area. So, again, if you didn't listen to the last podcast, microneedling is essentially, anywhere between 5 to 50 needles in this little tiny, almost looks like a little, like a little pen. If you ever use a nose trimmer, like one of those nose hair trimmers, it's like one of those little pens basically, and it has a bunch of needles at the tip of it, and it all comes in a sterile package and everything. And then basically you dab it on your face, and you start doing circular motions, almost like a tattoo. Like you're filling in a tattoo. The one I used was 18 needles, and for your skin, you only need about 0.5 millimeters down. So real thin line there. For the back of your head, they recommend between 1 to 1.5. I started off with 1 today just to see kind of pain tolerance, where it was going to be at and how uncomfortable it was going to be. And honestly, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world I'd like to do. I'm not excited.
Oh my God, I can't wait to do that again.
Yeah, I'm not looking to jam a bunch of needles in my head all the time here, but it's an uncomfortable feeling, but it's not bad. And I didn't notice any, visible blood or anything like that on top of the head. But it definitely roughed it up on the skin. It was very red and kind of tender on top. And what you're supposed to do after that is essentially wait 24 hours before applying finasteride or minoxidil or dutasteride before. So you don't want to do it right afterwards because you have these open wounds. When the wounds heal, essentially, you then apply, finasteride and minoxidil. And that is going to give you a better absorption rate to block DHT, as well as, the potential for, stem cells and things like that to shoot through the blood in that area to repair and heal the hair. And that's usually what ends up happening. DHT is basically blocking, inhibiting blood flow to the top of your head, which thus causes the follicles to die off. So you're basically re-stimulating growth in those areas for the hair. and hopefully, regrow hair stronger and more full as it goes along. So this is obviously my first time. They typically say wait, like a week or so before you do it again. So next Sunday, I'll do it again and report back. But as you can see here, I have a nice little puffy patch of redness there that I was microneedling my face. And then on the top of the head, you can see I have a kind of a bald patch here. That's where I was needling on the top there. So
an elaborate story around how you got punched in the face.
That's a good excuse, right? So last night I got drunk.
No, but I think like as with anything that we're doing, they continue to experiment. So you're actually living it and doing it to see how you get on. So that's cool. Cool.
Well, I looked at all the data studies.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Thanksgiving was great. Well, I looked at for microneedling. I looked at all the studies. There's some, a lot of the studies are referenced back to a 2013 study that came out from NIH that had some positive effects. But there's been so much more research done since then on microneedling that it's just something that I really wanted to, give it a shot and see, would it have an impact on my hair loss as well as, facial blemishes that I have that it bothers me. I mean, it's not like a big deal, but it bothers me there. And obviously I got a little zit going on right there still from last time. But, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But a lot of good data, a lot of good studies, a lot of before and after comparisons, as well as NIH studies showing the hair follicle counts are increasing over time. So it's definitely something if you're looking at preventative hair loss, as well as, check out our previous podcast on the hair loss that we went through, all the major stages of minoxidil, finasteride, dutasteride, as well as other things that you can do to potentially stop hair loss. And one thing I didn't mention in last podcast is that there is the red light therapy, and that has also been shown through data studies to increase hair potential regrowth. What that's doing is essentially lasers, and they're hitting a certain frequency range that causes your cells to essentially kind of go bonkers and produce more ATP in those areas, thus increasing kind of like blood flow and stuff to that effect. It's only been the studies have only been approved for women and hair regrowth. They haven't been on the men's side. So it's to me, it's kind of hokey. I don't see a lot of the data on that. I do have red light therapy that I use for like recovery and body repair and things like that I do think does a decent job, as does the sauna. But for hair regrowth, it's not something I'd recommend. But other than that, Thanksgiving was great. Smoked a turkey, had a 26-pound turkey, and cut it up and spatchcocked it and had it all like laying out good and flat, and smoked it for about about 4.5 hours or so, and came out perfect. It was so I brined it first, and I used just salt, pepper, garlic, some apple juice and some sugar and some rosemary, some thyme, and I just throw that into a big bag and I let it sit, in the fridge overnight, in between 24 to 48 hours. 24 hours is usually what I do, and then take it out, and then I do meat injections. So I take this is my secret. I'm letting everybody know my secret.
The secrets are coming out.
Yeah, the secret to anything, if you're cooking meats, is you want flavor. And the way that you get the flavor through is through either your rub or through things like butter and salt and garlic, those types of things that can bring a lot of flavors through. And so what I actually do is I take just normal butter, and, I heat it up in a microwave, and then I have this, it's called campfire salt. And it's salt that they literally put over a campfire, and it absorbs all of the smoke. And it's a really smoky, good flavor to the salt itself. And I use that for steaks as well. And I mix that into the butter, and then I inject that into the turkey, which brings out a lot of the flavor of the turkey itself, the butter, the campfire smell. And then from there, I put my rub on top of it, and then I throw that into the smoker. The trick is, so if you don't want on the smoking, if you just do it at a same temperature across the board, the skin will be kind of like a thick kind of like really hard type of skin. So what I do is I put butter over the top of the turkey, then I put my rub on, and then I throw it into the smoker at 450 degrees for about 45 minutes. That basically crisps the skin. So it's a nice, good, crispy skin. And then I drop the temperature down to 300 or 350. It doesn't matter. If you're short on time, 350, 300 is going to give you more smoke. And then it, let it cook until it hits to 160. As soon as it hits 160, it'll still cook another 5 degrees or so. Once it hits 160, I take it out and I throw it into what's called a Cambro, which is like this, um, just like a cooler that kind of keeps the heat in. And I keep it in there and let that rest for about an hour and a half, depending on how much time I have. 2 hours is fine. 3 hours is fine. Just let it rest, let the meat kind of simmer down a bit, stop having to cook, and it brings all those juices back in. And man, when I cut it, these juices were just pouring out the side, the butter, the salt. It was one of the best turkeys that I've ever made. But I had one of my best friends, Bobby, come over from the military. We served in war together. He was in town, so he came over and had the whole family thing, stuffing. I had shrimp cocktail that I'd gotten from the store, like a meat and cheese platter. I had 3 different types of desserts. I had carrot cake, pumpkin pie, and apple pie. This is actually a really funny story. So I screwed up really bad. So, with pumpkin pie, you have to have like Ready Whip or Miracle Whip, right? So you have to have those, like it's a necessity to be able to spray a ton of whipped cream on this. And I grabbed the wrong whipped cream at the store, and it was a creamer, a whipped cream creamer for coffee. So I screwed up. So we didn't have any whipped cream. So all my kids are like, "Oh my God, there's no cream." I ruined Thanksgiving. However, there was a DoorDash for 7-Eleven that was still open when I did this, and I tipped the guy. So the 3 Ready Whips that I got, the whipped creams, cost me like $15. I tipped the guy $100 just because it was Thanksgiving, and he came here and saved the day. And it was funny because I met him at the door. He's like, "Dude, thank you so much for the tip." I'm like, "Dude, no, thank you for coming on Thanksgiving. I'm so appreciative of you." He's like, "I definitely feel like a superhero today because I know where this whipped cream is going. You forgot for the pumpkin pie, didn't you?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." Yes. So it was a good story. So we're
not all heroes wear capes.
He wanted some, and he did what he wanted to. But it was a cool story. I almost ruined Thanksgiving. So,
but save the day in the end. It's like creating the dramatic moment. You're the hero and the villain in the story.
That's right. That's right.
I think a bit of a cruel share the secrets of how to make the perfect turkey the day after Thanksgiving, so everybody's at it. It's like ready for next year.
Write it down for next year. And a really good rub, by the way, to give a really good dark orangish like flaky crust type of one is I like the Mad Turkey rub. I make my own rubs as well, but I just found the Mad Turkey was like a really good balance of like traditional and smoky. Not spicy. My family hates spicy. So, well, let me phrase it. My wife does, and my daughter, my 2 sons claim to like spicy, but then if it's a little bit of hint of spice, like, "Oh my God, it's so hot." But anyways,
like the hot cocktail sauce, the hot one.
Yeah,
not hot.
I did have the cocktail sauce. The super spicy cocktail sauce was out, and they love that, which is the St. Elmo's. It's the spiciest, most potent horseradish cocktail sauce.
Delicious, though. It's delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious. Yeah. So, anyways, that was my time.
Horseradish is a different type of heat. It's not like chili.
It is.
It's almost. It's like similar. I don't know. It's
a horseradish.
It's like nasal. Like you get a nasal heat with it, not like a spicy on your tongue.
Oh, and it hits. It's and everybody here is like, "Oh, come on, I've had horseradish before. I've had this." No, it's a whole different level. Like it fills your entire head, and it hits you hard, and then it goes away immediately. But it's St. Elmo's. I think it's out of Philadelphia. There's a St. Elmo's steak joint that Aaron and I actually ate at, and that's where I found this stuff. But you get it at stores now. Like it's combining stores. But first time I had it, I had shrimp cocktail, and I had this. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the best shrimp cocktail sauce I've ever had." And then when I saw it in stores, I was like, "Okay, this is incredible." But the Mad Turkey is the one that you want to. It's the Mad Max turkey, I think is what it is. Yeah, Mad Max.
I'm actually glad that you've told me that because we don't really have. I mean, I've never seen it. Maybe I'm wrong, and people can correct me. We don't really get like proper cocktail sauce over here, but I've just found the very spicy shrimp cocktail sauce in Elmo Steakhouse, so I can actually order it from.
There it is. You got to keep it refrigerated. Just an FYI. Most cocktail sauces you don't. You definitely have to for this. So
okay, cool, noted. But I'm glad I can get it because from the first time we tried it, I was like, I need this in my life.
Yep.
So yeah, overall successful Thanksgiving. Things are good.
It was phenomenal. It was a good time with family and friends, and it was funny because like my buddy Bobby, he does more traveling. Like he lives in essentially a truck that he does like inspections on. So he travels kind of from place to place for a few months, and then he goes home, and stays for a few months. So it's kind of like a deployment type of situation where he works for insurance companies. And so it was nice for him to come over and just, and I, offered him to stay. He had a spare Android phone because his was end of life. So I gave him my old Android phone. We just, reminisced about like old times and hanging out in the Marines. And, our kids asked about where we were at September 11th. And it was funny because I was on a military base in Hawaii, Kaneohe Bay Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. And it was like, I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when the first plane hit. And my mom calls me and I ignore it. My dad calls me and I ignore it. And my mom calls me again. I'm like, okay, something must be going on. And so I pick up the phone and that's when I know. So I ran downstairs to Bobby because he's my best friend. And like, dude, Bobby, we're under attack and blah, blah, blah. And Bobby's like, okay, well, I'll hear about it in the morning when I wake up for tea. I'm going back to bed. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, he was just too tired. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then we went down, we watched it on the TV and everything, our whole base lockdown, obviously. And we went into Intel, the skiff to do our work. But, it was crazy reminiscing and kind of sharing the stories with the kids and talked about what we're thankful for. And, that's what it's all about. And I ate a ton of food, didn't even care. I ate whatever.
It was funny.
I ate everything. I had 2 servings of carrot cake, didn't care. Not even care.
I had a call. So I had obviously been like sort of prepping clients probably for a little bit too long, but like I had it in my head for the longest time that Thanksgiving was going on. I was like, look, just make sure you're ready for it. Bank calories, but I want everybody to enjoy the day, blah, 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 blah. And then yesterday morning, my time, I recorded a video basically just wishing everybody happy Thanksgiving and just like giving everybody the green light if they just didn't want to track calories for the day. And I didn't really think much of it. And then I had a call with Clayton and he was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, what do you mean? He goes like making us all bank calories and then give us the green light not to worry about tracking calories. I was like, but I mean, they both go hand in hand. Do you know what I mean? It's like we've done the work in terms of banking the calories, so you're comfortable. So if you don't want to track, then you can go ahead. And I sort of give the caveat. Like I know some people will want to track to see what's going on, and some people want. It's like it's about spending time with family, not worrying about tracking food and whatever else. And that overall is a long term goal with everybody. But I didn't do it intentionally. I wasn't being evil intentionally. I thought I was actually doing a good deed, but apparently not.
Well, it's different, right? Because, everybody looks to you for guidance on what they should do during these times, right?
Yeah.
These times we're used to engorging and eating as much food as possible and, the comb on the turkey stuff. And, it's great. I remember the banking because I did the same stuff, especially when I wasn't in a bulking cycle, right? And, I'd bank the whole week and it was a challenge. I'd be eating like 230 grams of protein, like 50 grams of carbs and like 2 grams of fat. That was like I was like literally living on like oatmeal and protein shakes, just to get, or steak, just to get me to that point of having enough calories. And I remember going in, I'd be like, 5,500 calories. Here we go, baby.
Strap yourself in. It's going to be a good one.
Let's go. But even then, discipline wise, it was always important for me to still maintain kind of that protein first, right? And yesterday is the same thing. Even though I had as much calories as I really wanted to eat yesterday, I loaded up on turkey. I had a little bit of a portion. I had like a bean casserole type of thing, and then I had I didn't even go for the mashed potatoes. I don't even really care about those. I had a little biscuit and some cranberry sauce, which is the canned cranberry sauce that has the ribs around it. That's the only cranberry sauce you can have. It's funny. My aunt posted on Facebook. She's like, "Oh my God, Dave, I'm so sorry that you didn't have homemade cranberry sauce. Like next year, I'll make some cranberry sauce." I'm like, no. I won't eat your cranberry sauce. I don't care how good it is. I have to have the one from the can. The older, the better. It grows with age. So even if it's expired like 15 years ago, it's still good.
It's like I have a 1999 vintage kind of cranberry sauce.
You should start a vintage cranberry,
like blowing dust off it from the
vintage era Campbell's soup. Campbell's cranberry sauce. But but I was still very specific on getting my protein first, and then I ate my protein. And then I, sat for probably, an hour talking and stuff like that. And then we went and had dessert. And, I had a lot of dessert too, but I was still with the mindset of protein first, which is, things that you just instill as you kind of go along, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's like nostalgia. Yeah. Good. Cool. Well, that's it for me.
How that you've asked. So you didn't have, obviously, Thanksgiving. So.
No, I didn't. I was just had a normal day.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I think it's appropriate to say, since this podcast won't be released until after, your birthday, obviously. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you so much.
Birthday.
Thank you so much. It's like I don't
Happy birthday to you. Ben got right in the face immediately.
I was actually laughing with Ryan because obviously we celebrate Ryan's birthday all the time, no matter where we are, what's going on. And we were out in a completely different group setting last night with like people we had never met before. And he saw this birthday cake come in, and the first thought I had was like, I'm raising. I didn't think of that. And the first thought he had was, there's no fucking way he's done this whenever in this group. But no, I didn't. But yes, it is my birthday on Sunday, and today is Friday. Also, shout out to Kev Cody and Luke, because we all share the same birthday. So I'm sure
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know Kev Cody was around the same time, and I didn't know Luke, but I knew Kev Cody was around the same time. I didn't realize the same one.
Yeah. So you
guys are birthday buddies.
Yeah,
birthday brothers.
Yeah, birthday brothers, all three of us. But yeah, no, things are good with me. I mean, like, I've only 2 days worth of stuff to catch up, but a lot has actually happened. So yesterday we had our first mobility call with Lorena, which was a huge hit. As you'll know, like, mobility is a topic that's talked about quite a lot, and I'm going to admit I'm not very mobile. So me giving mobility advice was probably as useful as me telling someone how to hack something. So Lorena come on, she's a former Olympic gymnast, and she just did not take anybody's shit, and I really liked her attitude. So it was good. She just did a bit of an introduction as to what mobility is, what's the difference between mobility and flexibility, how you can start to incorporate it in your day-to-day stuff. So we had that yesterday. And then had a pretty big meeting today. And for anybody who's listening, I did an Instagram story a couple of weeks ago, basically saying that I'm about to go into the biggest meeting potentially of my entire career. It was not that meeting. It's not that same thing. That's the secret thing that Dave and I are not talking about.
Very secret.
So I had a meeting today. Basically, and I actually want to talk about this today because I feel like in the nature of full transparency and the nature of us like talking about business and work stuff, I feel like this is probably valuable in some way, shape, or form. I think it's safe to say over the past year or so, how WeHackHealth and how my business in itself has grown has been exponential, which is great. And I think the sort of mindset I've been in over the past couple of months is, how do I continue to grow and scale that? And obviously with the overarching goal of helping as many people as possible and changing an art of an entire industry. You'll notice that only being one person, that is the limiting factor in things. So I basically have hired this agency to come in and take my business apart and put it back together again, which has been an eye-opener in many ways. I filled out lots of paperwork, answered many, many questions I didn't know the answer to, and just been a bit of an eye-opener in terms of like what things are going to look like going forward. And it's funny because they'll ask questions about like marketing and like lead gen and like stuff that I haven't really done. Like, how have you grown your business to what it is now without this stuff? And I was like, just by hosting a podcast with Dave and posting on social media and doing a good job with my, which is good, but it's like exciting for sort of what's to come. So I actually spent this morning, about 3 hours this morning, me, Ryan, the guy Ben from the consultancy, and the guy that works with him, Rob, just sort of trying to work out like, what can we start to incorporate that's going to be beneficial to give back to the community? Like, additional reasons, like why would people want to be a part of what we do versus just listening to you and I talk about what's going on in their life, and what research we've done that week on the podcast. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of give a bit of an update as to that and what's going on. Obviously, I've sort of touched on briefly over the past few weeks and months, like how the team has started to expand, sort of what their roles and responsibilities are going to be. And for me, it's now about how I can start to incorporate them in things so people see, like, for me to, I guess, showcase what it is that they actually do and what benefit they're going to have for me, for everybody here, for everybody who's listening, and for everybody who obviously I work with directly in terms of clients. So we sat and did that today. One of the biggest things that we just spoke about before we come on is we're going to create an extended challenge within the Discord. Now, I don't know how much work I've given Dave to do on this, but essentially what the goal with this is going to be for an additional piece of value of being in the Discord. So I think there's about 1,600 people within the Discord now. So number one, how can we grow that to make sure that there's more people in it? And number two, what value they can have for actually being in it. So essentially, we're going to create one big game. I'm going to come up with daily challenges. They're going to start at the first of the year. They're going to be super specific, and Dave is going to find a way that Discord can track it and everybody can get their points, because I know that that's going to be something that people enjoy. What we're going to do with those points and how we're going to make it worth people's while is we're going to set a score, and between now and August, between the start of the year and August next year, people will get a score, and you will need to have over a certain score to get invited to an event that we're going to put together in Vegas around the time of Black Hat and DEF CON next year. So that is one thing that we're going to do, build a little bit more interaction with the Discord and get more people in it. Second thing that I'm going to do is build out like essentially like a video series, webinar series is probably the best way to put it, around how what we do on the inside of WeHackHealth looks after the whole human. The goal with that would be basically everybody is going to do their own webinar. So everybody on the team. So I'm going to do one. Adam's going to do one. Travis is going to do one. Kira's going to do one. I'm saying all this and I haven't told them yet. So hopefully they're okay with it. And this is actually going to happen. I'm going to do one. Adam's going to do one. Travis is going to do one. Kira's going to do one around mindset and holistic high performance. Sean's going to do one around breathwork. Lorena's going to do one around mobility, and I've nominated you to do one too. We haven't discussed what it's going to be like, but you'll be able to do
awesome.
some.
I was going to say, can I do one? I'm excited.
Yeah, I already have you on the list. I can actually, I'll go through the list now so we can see. So me, the titles will probably change. This is what we come up with today, and obviously I can speak to everybody. So me, I'm going to do optimizing your health. Travis is going to do building a training program. Adam's going to do work-life balance. Kira's going to do relentless resilience, self-reflection, and identity. Sean's going to do staying in control and beating anxiety. Rena's going to go get up and go, daily wins and mobility. And Dave, yours title is how all of the above have helped you.
I like it.
So yours is going to be day 7. So it's going to be a 7-day sequence, essentially, 7 videos. We're going to do that to sort of put out to everybody. Because I think there'll be huge value in that. And then obviously there'll be evergreen for people to sort of dip in and out of for what they need and when they need it. So that's going to be cool too. One thing we're going to work on as well is the concept, and we haven't sort of built it out yet or have an understanding of it, is basically some sort of scoring app questionnaire for you to sort of MOT yourself. You have MOT over there? No, you don't have MOT over there. Like health check for your car. So essentially it's like, it'll be maybe 40 or 50 questions on how your digestion is, how your health is, how your nutrition is, how your productivity is, how your sleep quality is, how your weight management is, what's your creativity like, what's your focus like, things like that. So like a 50-page diagnostic, we'll say, of you as a person. And then obviously you get a score at the end of it. And then based on your score, we'll be able to sort of recommend resources of places you can go, whether that's a podcast that we've recorded or a video that I've recorded or somewhere in the Discord or some sort of resource that we find beneficial to help you improve on the areas that you feel like you're not at 100% on, which I think will be cool too. I mean, I'm looking at this stuff now and I came away from both me and the other Ben who runs the agency came away being like, this is all really cool, but how much fucking work is going to have to go into this? But I think it'll be good resources for people to use and actually be beneficial in some way to sort of actually spot check where they're at with things. I know how this is going to go. You're going to want to like beat the score. You want to get 100% score. So you're going to like go in and answer the questions and then how can I sort of cheat the system to get 100%? But I think that'll be cool. So over the next, I'm going to say month or so, we're probably going to put that together and then we can put it out to everybody as well, which I think would be cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's exciting. And, I think we'll be able to figure out the whole, level reward system and stuff like that. But I mean, these are all just amazing things that continuously, add more value with what you're doing with the program and getting your name out there, getting, what you're accomplishing, and just cool to kind of see the progress of all that. And what you're kind of giving down to the community and everybody else. It's cool because I was looking at the chat yesterday in Discord and everybody's just kind of sharing what they're doing, how they're banking calories, just sharing information in the chat. And it was really cool to see how big the community has really kind of expanded over the past several years to what it is today,
Yeah, and I think the thing about it for me is like I have anytime I say this, I think, I don't know if you guys have seen Liam Neeson, he has a specific skill set. Like I think I have a specific skill set and I'm very aware that there are other people who are better at other things than me. And I think being able to bring the team in to do that is going to be huge for everybody on the inside, but I want to be able to share it with the wider community as well. So it's like, I guess giving them an insight to like what actually goes on the inside. If you are a client, whether you work with me directly one-to-one or whether you're in the group, because I think, overall, if I think about the people who started in the group this time last year versus those same people who are in the group now, the value and what they have access to now versus then is night and day different. You know what I mean? There's now potentially, I think there's 6 or 7 total coaches in their own fields. Like Sean obviously has been about for a while. Kira has obviously been about for a while, but she has a much more active role now. And then obviously bringing Travis in, bringing Adam in, sort of pushing him into the role that he has been doing regardless of whether he liked it or not. And then obviously bringing Lorraine in to do that too. So being able to sort of share like what is actually going on versus everybody on the inside just sort of seeing it and not really sharing it with the outside. So I think it'd be cool in that aspect. And, you and I have spoken at length about how you sort of built your name and built your brand, and then went, oh shit, right, I'm going to have to build out a team to actually be able to do this at scale.
Well, it's funny you mentioned, you know, I think you said the other day in a text, like, oh my gosh, it's insane having your own people that are actually doing stuff, you know, to help you out and kind of grow things. And that's a pretty magical thing. You know, I remember, I was just talking to recently. Someone I was talking to recently had just started their own business, and they were talking about how kind of lonely it gets just being by yourself, you know, in this room, you know, basically by yourself doing nothing, right? And you got to figure out, how do I, you know, get people in? How do I bring money in? How do I expand my business? And then on top of it, you're busting your ass doing the actual work, and you're doing the programming, you're doing this, right? And then all of a sudden you start to build, you know, you take the plunge, you start to add employees and add people to help you out, and all of a sudden now you can quadruple your work, you know, that you're doing because you have a good team to help you. But the problem is that you have to figure out how to, one, maintain the level of quality, two, make sure that, you know, you're already overloaded and busy. How do you add more people on while you're overloaded and busy to teach them to get to that point? So you're balancing all of these different inflection points, you know, to get to it. But once that starts to come off, I think that's really when a business becomes really successful, because now you start to focus on, like, oh, it'd be cool to do this, or to improve on this, or to focus in this direction, and start to align everybody to get towards the end. What are the steps that I need to do to build up to that slowly? You know, so it starts to really take shape of your kind of envision and dream of what you want to accomplish. And it's not all relying off of you. The biggest challenge that I had, you know, working for myself was I just had so much stuff to get done that it almost felt like I couldn't get any of it done, because one, I had to bring in money and revenue to, you know, build the company, or else I was going bankrupt, you know, so I had to do the work. But at the same time, like, well, I really need to redo our statements of work because they look like crap. But right now I'm still winning work. So is that really a top priority? You know, plus I need to go out and do the marketing, I need to do this, I need to code a tool or do whatever. So all of these like variables that are good for the business might not necessarily bubble up because you need to do other things as well. So it's cool to see that growth there, and you're just really hitting, to me, you're out of the oh shit zone, and you're really into the, oh, this is gonna be, well, you're in the oh shit zone right now because you're like, oh my god, I have to like pay people and stuff like that. But the second part is like, you start to get past it and you're like, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. So it's always good when you get past that initial kind of startup hurdle of just yourself, and now you're working with the team that you can collaborate with and actually push things forward. It's a whole different, you know, experience, in my opinion, of kind of the next level, but really the most fun that I think you get from an enjoyment perspective of running your own business. And a lot of people don't get to that, by the way.
Yeah, agree. And I think, you know, if I think back to when I did my PT qualification, which will be almost, I guess, probably about 7 years ago, like, you do the qualification so that you can get the certificate that you can coach people on the gym floor. They don't tell you you're going to have to be an accountant, you're going to have to be a copywriter, a marketer, you're going to have to manage people's problems, you're going to have to manage your own schedule. Like, you don't tell you all this stuff that you're going to have to do. But now being in the position, and even like, you know, it's funny because Ram and I went for dinner last night, and then Ram was there this morning, and he sent me a voice and said thanks. And I was like, thank you for being there, because it's not part of our sort of agreement or contract that he comes to these things or contributes as much as he do. But whenever I knew the conversation we were going to have this morning, I was like, Ryan knows the team as much as I do, because he asked them, you know, he hosts the or he records the testimonials, and he asks the questions. So like, he knows everybody as an individual as well. So I value his input on what he thinks about what we should do in terms of like being able to go and scale like on marketing side as well. And I think the thing that I've realized over the past couple of weeks is, you know, the tasks that take you the longest, like the ones that it's the stuff that you just don't enjoy doing, being in a position that there are people who actually do enjoy those things, and that's cool. So you can bring them on to do that, and it gives you more time to do the stuff that you actually really enjoy doing. And I think it's safe to say that the one thing that I've really realized over the past year is the one thing that I really, really enjoy doing is spending time at the in-person events and like planning out the in-person events. Like, I never thought I'd be an event planner, but here we are planning events. So I definitely think that that's something that I've noticed, and being able to sort of, if I think back to like when I think I was mostly losing my mind, was whenever I was planning the event for Colorado, because I was busy in terms of onboarding clients, because I told everybody I was not taking any more clients on after a specific date. So it was like, oh shit, I need to get involved. So it was like, I was the busiest I've ever been in terms of like managing clients, onboarding clients, and bringing on new clients. And I was trying to plan an event at a scale that I never had done before.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is absolute chaos. Like, it is absolute madness. But I really enjoy like the detail side of planning the event and putting it together, and the challenge that it presents. Like I'm trying to plan an event in 3 months' time, 4,000 miles away for 50 people for 5 days. I don't have a fucking clue about any of that stuff, but I really enjoy like trying to work those bits out. And then obviously I enjoy having catch-up calls with clients and being able to spend more time with that and not worried about, I have to get off and do this and like other things playing in my mind. I enjoy the weekly calls and having everybody together as a group. So that's the thing that I really enjoy the most. And now to be in a position that I can bring other people in to fulfill other aspects and make sure they're getting essentially more value than what they originally signed up for by having the team around. And it frees me up to do the stuff that I actually enjoy doing and I actually feel like I'm better at.
I think you hit it spot on, right? You're always iterating, improving, figure out how to do things better, how to scale it, how to, add, new things that you haven't done before. And those are all, things that you're going to continuously, start to figure out as you expand. But now you have people that can actually help you with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the cool part about these events that I really think will, continue to make it a lot easier and better for you and making the events easier. I mean, every event that I've ever been to, minus the one where I almost died, was. But
even phenomenal. It was good. I mean, you might not have enjoyed it as much as I did, but it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for you guys, but no, but it's cool, man. I'm really excited for you, and I know it's going to be a good event. The biggest thing that I always struggled with on the event planning side is like the variables that you don't take into consideration. Either people canceling or someone adding somebody they shouldn't have, or like you give somebody one ticket and they give you 5. They come with 5 people. I've done it before at DerbyCon.
I have very much dealt with that myself.
Yeah, and it's just like it's dealing with the people aspect of things can always be the I think the most challenging part, because those are the unforeseen circumstances. You can plan for everything that you possibly think of, but as soon as that wrench comes into place, you always got to kind of figure that out. But that's always something you got to deal with, and the fun part with it, I guess.
The biggest struggle I have at the minute is keeping things a secret. So like there's stuff that I get really excited about, and even something that happened today, like I got something back from someone about a thing, and I'm like, immediately I want to send it to you. I want to send it to Ryan and share it with like other people. I'm like,
wait, is it the one thing that I know about, or something a different thing?
No, different.
Okay, it's a different thing. So it's not the one thing that we're not talking about.
No, there's many things, and the thing about it is, it's like I'll share some with you, and I'll share some with Ryan, and I'll share some with Adam, potentially, for example. And I'm like trying to remember who I've shared what with and who's not knowing what, and I'm like, in terms of like people who are coming or things that I have done or things that I've organized or whatever, and I'm like, I'm excited about sharing them, but I want to wait. Because Ryan, whenever I was speaking to him, he's like, I can't believe you have another secret for me. I'm like, I want him to be involved in a way that he can share in the experience of the sort of surprise element of things as well. So I'm struggling with like keeping it all to myself, because to take it right back in full circle, like whenever you are yourself in the business and you're doing everything, it's like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or fucking not. And I don't have anybody to bounce the idea off. So I'm like sat here being like, I hope this is all okay. But now I'm in a position I have obviously people, and I do want you to be excited about the thing. And there are things that are even in my office that I haven't shared with you, because I want you to experience it with everybody else as well. So it's like trying to juggle all those things and just bring it all together. But yeah, the events I think are something obviously that's a huge focus, and I'm going to give my credit to this from my mum, because she's always been putting parties together, and you've enjoyed the small sandwiches and laughed hilariously at them. But she's always been a great host, and I've learned that from her, and I want to do that on scale. So it's like, how can I make sure as many details are thought of as possible to make sure that the experience for everybody, because some will go over people's head and they'll not notice, and that's fine, but it's like details that I know and I have to take care of, or that one person be like, oh, you've really thought of this one thing, and I'm like, yes, I have, thank you for noticing.
I have thought of everything, trust me.
But that's exactly what I want. Like, I want to think of things as much as possible, and doing it on the scale in terms of the amount of people. It's not necessarily running a conference at the same level that you did, but it's like being able to.
It never has to be a comparison to that, but
not yet. Ali said to me the other day, it was like, your challenge is I want you to run an event for 1,000 people. I was like, I've got 50 in February, and I'm already freaking out how I'm going to manage 1,000 people. It was like, you'll work it out.
1,000 people is a lot of people to deal with. Like hey, more power to you if you want to do that. But for me,
you're not getting involved. You're like, I
want nothing to do with that at all. Like I did my time on that.
But yeah, it's even the thought, do you know what I mean? It's like, if I think of 1,000 people, if I think I went to the Jocko, the Echelon Front muster in, I think it was April, and there was 1,000 people at that. And I remember sitting with Matt, and truthfully, the biggest takeaway for both of us from that whole thing is this is such a cool event to be at because of how well organized it is. And both of us, like, in a situation, our businesses are similar in terms of managing clients and hosting events. We were like, what can we take away from this whenever we're hosting events? So it's like, I know what that looks like. I just don't know how to get there. But again, if you had asked me 2 years ago, would I be doing the events that I'm doing now and hosting the people that I am? Probably not. So it's funny as well, because we were out with dinner last night with Ben, who runs the agency, and a couple of other his clients, and they were talking about in-person events. And they were like, no, these guys do it on a different level, and was sort of explaining. I was like, I sort of take it for granted because we've done so many of them. But whenever you're speaking to other people, like, how do you pull that together? And I'm like, I don't really. Kind of just lots of spreadsheets. So yeah, I'm to take it right back. I'm excited to be able to introduce the team to everybody who's not just on the inside, and sort of allow them to step into what they do and share their expertise, because there are people who have done what they do for, maybe 5, 10, even 15 years. So it's like, these people are experts in what they do. And I actually branded the Thursday call the experts call, because Sean comes in, Helmy was there, Kira comes in and does a call, Lorena, like, it's all these people who are absolute experts in their field, and I want to, like, introduce them to the world, essentially, like our world, and bring them in. And I think it's a cool position for me to be in, because it's people that I trust and I use. So, I use Sean. I have used Sean worked with Sean to do breathwork probably for maybe 2 years, maybe longer. I use Kira on a one-to-one basis. So, like, I trust her with absolutely everything. So it's like being able to bring her in and give the value that I get from her to everybody. I think it'll be cool as well.
Well, I'm bummed that I missed the mobility one, because
the recording is in the mainframe, Dave. You can just go and watch back on it, so you're absolutely fine. Have that sorted.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that, for me, I am recognizing, very quickly that, the more mobility that I can have, the better my lifts are going to be, the less, issues I'm going to have with injuries. And, I was talking to Bobby yesterday, and I was talking about all the stretching I'm doing. He's like, we're finally at an age now where we have to admit stretching's a good thing. It's like,
I said that Lorena was taking questions yesterday, and she was like, any questions? And I was like, sell mobility to me, because if I have an hour in the gym, sure as shit, I don't want to roll about the floor doing mobility for 15 minutes. And she went off on, like, this really good explanation, whatever else. And the one thing I picked up on was, she said it will make me stronger. I was like, all you had to do was say it's going to make you stronger. If you tell me it's going to make me stronger,
the first thing you should have led with right here. Okay?
It's like one sentence. It's going to make you stronger.
Well, I have definitely noticed that, when I'm stretching, and I focus most specifically, like, for me, my biggest area is, like, my hip mobility. And so when I'm going down for squats or I'm doing deadlifts, those stretches are really important. And it's actually interesting, when I go to Orange Theory, I would normally just, hop on the tread and start running. I actually do, like, full hip stretches, back stretches, just getting everything kind of ready to go. And then at the end, I do the same thing. And there's a lot of data that is contradictory to one another, whether or not stretching reduces injury, increases injury. Doesn't seem to have a value on injury. But one thing I can say is, even afterwards, warming up, dynamic stretching is what most medical professionals will recommend, warming up your muscle groups and things like that to get them primed for strain. But for me, I have noticed 100% difference. Like, I've been using the DDPY yoga stuff, and a lot of the movements in that. And I have noticed that my ability to go down further on squats, and, by the way, be more stable in my squats, is something that happened relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And the stretching that I do now is crazy, because, like, I'll be on the ground with, like, my 1 foot forward, my other one back, and I'm, like, lunged all the way back, sitting on one, and people are looking at me like, oh my God, like, the 6'4" dude can do that. But
I think things are like that are cool. And actually, Jason asked on the call yesterday, was like, he was like, I'm skeptical. And the same thought as I had of, like, I don't want to, quote unquote, waste my time doing mobility whenever I could just be lifting. And he asked, like, how soon should I see, positive results? And Lorraine was like, pretty much right away. Like, if you're not doing any, you're going to see improvement in that as well. So again, me sort of having to lead from the front, I'm going to use myself as an example for getting mobility in as well. I sort of joke with her, like her photo is her doing the splits and the thing. And I was like, how long before I can do the splits? She was like, oh, not that long. And then she was like, but I'm not a magician, so I need to see where you're at now. I was like, you have a lot of work to do. There's absolutely no way in any way mobile. But I think it's been able to weigh up the value of it and not seeing it as a trade-off, seeing that it's something that's going to benefit what you're doing in terms of like overall movement. And it's something I've neglected for almost 10 years. So being able to actually get in and do it and feel the benefits of it. And, you know, I was chatting back and forth with Adam about it, and he was like, I'm so excited for this. I was like, that's good. I'm glad you're excited. But, you know, if you think about her sort of narrative was like, you know, she's strong and she's flexible. And people are like, how can you be both? And she's like, they go hand in hand. Like, how could I not be both? And as I said, you know, she's a former Olympic gymnast, and like gymnasts are fucking strong. And obviously flexible. No, so it's like the proof is in the pudding is probably the best way I could put it. So I'll be using myself as an example in terms of mobility and what that actually looks like. And I'm looking forward. She's going to add two trainings to the mainframe every month. Initially, they'll be quite sort of generic in terms of like just general day-to-day mobility that people can do. But as we do the monthly calls with her, she'll be able to take feedback in and then sort of tailor it as well. So the goal is, you know, in a year's time, we'll have potentially 30 bits of content from her, including the calls, and then obviously the bi-weekly videos that she's going to do. So that'd be cool too. So yes, okay, you missed the first one, but there are many more opportunities for you to be mobile too. We should get her on the podcast. And speaking of DDP yoga, we should get him in the podcast too.
We should. I got to get him. He's I was talking to him yesterday. He's traveling at the moment, but definitely need to get him on the podcast for sure.
Great. Actually, I'll tell this because I had this thought yesterday. Have you seen Sam Sulek?
Yeah.
Why did I get him in the podcast? I think he lives in Ohio. I think he's from Ohio.
Is he really in Ohio?
I think so, because I sat with Ryan yesterday. He Googled and he was like, he's from Ohio. I was like, well, why don't we not just try and get him an in-person podcast whenever I'm over?
Yeah. I mean, that'd be great. I don't know if he would do that or not, but I mean, he seems like a nice guy. So
he seems pretty chill.
Maybe. Definitely pretty chill. So
I mean, there's only one way to find out. Just have to ask.
Let's ask him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's an interesting cat. You know, like he gets a lot of crap from all different areas, but I mean, the kid's only like 21 years old or something.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even believe, like his physique and, you know, how much he understands, you know, what he's doing. I mean, the kid's just killing it. So
it's funny because again, so obviously we're talking about content the past couple of days, and we were looking at his YouTube profile. And he uploads a YouTube video every single day, and some of them are like 20 minutes, some are like 50 minutes, and it's like just him and his day and what he's up to. And he's like, there's no like crazy edits and there's nothing else. It's just like you just like having breakfast with him and he's talking about what's going on. I'm like, it's pretty cool. But yes, he is absolutely enormous and shredded. And yeah, he's only 21. Insane.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, awesome. Good set of podcasts today for sure. You have anything else to cover?
No, that's it. I just wanted to talk about what was going on with WeHackHealth.
Yeah,
what's going on
cool
with you?
To see. Yeah, everything's good. I mean, it's today I got I'm not going to actually lift today, surprisingly. My tennis elbow is not doing the greatest, so I'm going to give it a day to kind of recover on that. I got this
You stopped playing tennis?
I need to stop playing tennis. It's interesting though, because so golfer's elbow is on the inside for those that know, and then outside is the tennis elbow, and you know it's like a tendon that runs down the side of your arm that gets inflamed, and who knows what happened. I mean, my right's feeling great, but my left is just, you know, when you start to pick things up, you can tell it just kind of hurts. And there's a band you can use to kind of mask the pain, but it doesn't really help. But I got this it's specifically for tennis elbow, but it's like this big unit that has these big massagers on it, and it like rips apart your arm, it feels like. And they don't even want you doing it every day because it basically beats the hell out of your arm so that it can regrow much stronger. Similar if you notice like with the microneedling, you know, we're beating the areas up to tell the body to focus in that area. So very similar concept. So I did that yesterday. So it's definitely real tender. And I, you know, from a long extension perspective, it definitely hurts still. So I figured probably best to not do that. I'm going to do legs tomorrow, so it won't hopefully impede that in any way, shape, or form. I can't imagine squats, you know, being an issue. If not, I can always go on the hack squat machine or the force squat machine. And then same thing for deadlifts. Hopefully it doesn't impede the deadlifts, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's going to be a pretty chill weekend. I'm meeting a kid at the office a little bit later today. He's a going into cybersecurity. He is in cybersecurity. He's in his like third or fourth year. Was asking for some cybersecurity advice, and he's home away from the family. So like the mayor had asked if I could go meet with him or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'll go meet with him. But other than that, it's going to be pretty chill and relaxing to hang out. So
it's crazy to think. Like, I imagine if I was in my third or fourth year of cybersecurity and going to meet you at Trusted Tech HQ, as like, this is the potential of what your future could be. Do you know what I mean? It's like you sort of think that like this is where you're starting, but this is what the possibilities are.
Yeah, and it's crazy to be in that position too. To even have a company where people are like, "Hey, love to join your company." I'm like, "Oh, like it was just me in a basement, future." Like not that anymore, but
yeah, you're definitely not that anymore. It is not a basement, Jorgen.
Yeah, for sure. But well, hey, appreciate everybody listening to the podcast this week, and happy holidays. This is the holiday time frame, so make sure that you're sticking to your macros, getting lots of protein, and having some fun, enjoying time with the family, which is the most important at the end of the day, right? We're all trying to just enjoy the time that we have with loved ones and family and friends, recoup. The year gets very crazy for all of us with travel and with people. You obviously hear Ben, expanding his business, and these types of times are some of the best times you can possibly imagine, because you're spending it with your loved ones and family. But don't let yourself slip. Don't make a New Year's resolution that I'm going to go to the gym 15 times a day. Be small with it. Keep your progress going, and things will work itself out. So, from the Hacking Your Health crew here and everybody else in the Discord server, appreciate all of you, what you do every day, and love hearing the success stories. And tune in again next week for another amazing episode.
See you next week.